Today we're going to fix a controller that has an intermittent connectivity issue. Usually what we see in these controllers is that there's a PCB in the battery compartment that sometimes goes bad or loses connection either because of liquid damage or because of impact damage. So what we're going to do today is we're going to tear this controller down and we're going to replace that component. Like all of our repairs, we need to start by removing the faceplate, and I'm going to do that using my pry tool. There's 3 points of contact where the faceplate sits in the controller and the rest is just adhesive. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run my pry tool underneath the faceplate and we're just going to pry it from the bottom. Once I've got the faceplate pried up a little bit, I can run my pry tool around the bottom of the faceplate, pop up that other connection, and then I'll run my pry tool around the top to get that final connection point. It just comes off like that. We have a handful of screws that we need to take out. You can remove all of these screws using a T5 screwdriver. You don't have to go in any particular order here. We just need to make sure that we take all of them out. If you see a screw, remove it. There's also 4 screws in the battery compartment area. One of them is pretty obvious. The other 3 underneath this label here. So we're going to go ahead and take all those out. You can just go ahead and remove this label to access those 3 screws. I've taken the label off and you can see those 3 screws are now exposed. Once all the screws are taken out, I can go ahead and start disassembling the controller. We'll start with the ring. Just pops out at the front. And then we can very gently pull it apart, just like that. Next step is to take this inner portion of the grip off, stick my finger underneath like this, and pull it out from the top down. And then with the trigger guard, we're actually going to put a little bit of pressure on this side with our fingers and pull that away. And now this battery compartment is exposed. I've inspected the controller pretty carefully and I don't see any issues with the ribbons or with the board, no apparent liquid damage. But there does appear to be something that got in here, so we're going to go ahead and replace this battery compartment. It's probably the most critical step in removing the battery compartment, so if you don't learn anything else watching this video, this is the one thing to take away. This ribbon here is attached to this motherboard via this ribbon latch, and what we're going to do is we're going to gently pop this up using our pry tool, and we're going to back this straight away. A lot of people just take this off and tear that connection, and then their board is ruined. Now we can take our new battery compartment and install it this way, and then we'll just go ahead and put that ribbon back in place. And close that latch. And then I'm going to put the shell back on part of the way so that we can test it. Going to install a battery just to make sure that we're getting power to the controller, and it looks like we are getting power to the controller. I went ahead and tested this controller. It just kind of peeked through the headset, shook it around a little bit, and it doesn't look like we're getting that intermittent connectivity issue anymore. So I'm going to go ahead and put the rest of the shell back on, and we're going to put it back together. Putting the ring back on is pretty straightforward. We need to make sure that this little tooth is seated, and see these hooks on the inside need to be inside the holes, and that tooth is seated. And then I'm going to kind of work my way around to make sure there's no gaps, and that should seat just perfectly like it came out of the factory. Now we're going to put our screws back in. By the magic power of editing, our screws are all now back in place. And I want to make a special note of something. I try to bring this up with every controller teardown, but this is not a screw hole. It looks like a screw hole, it walks like a screw hole, it talks like a screw hole, but it's not a screw hole. And if you put a screw in that hole while you are trying to put your controller back together, you will certainly damage the board. So just be mindful. I try to say it in every video. Don't put a screw there no matter what you do. You'll be sending it in to me to get a board replacement. We'll put our faceplate back on by aligning the buttons and aligning those toggles that sit inside the frame. Just press down real good, and that should reseat to be flush again. And that's it. That's a battery compartment replacement on the Quest 2 controller. So if you're having connectivity issues, if you shake your controller a lot and you notice that your controller sort of restarts or dies or loses tracking, this may be the repair that you need. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. And we really appreciate everybody liking and subscribing our videos. It's really helping us out and helping us grow this community. If you have any requests on videos that we can do to help you with your repair, please let us know down in the comments, and we'll see you guys on the next one.